Welcome back to another installment of news stories from every state. We are starting to run low on the amount of states left, but there are definitely some interesting stories still left to cover. Let's see who we get. California. This one is definitely something. The more I watched, the more bizarre the footage felt. Let me know what you all think in the comments.
Quick warning, some of the pictures you're going to see in this next story may be disturbing. And it certainly looked pretty terrifying to Frank Gallo, and it was coming straight at him.
He had no idea what it was, and to this moment, he's really not sure what it was. News 10's Dave Marquis joins us now with more. Dave?
Dale and Christina, when it came right down to it, Frank was outside his trailer with a .357 Magnum and little time to think. As he says, it headed right towards him. He opened fire, and we'll take it from there.
And I saw something throw its arms up like this and slide down, but it was really dark.
Whatever it was has been hanging around Frank Gallo's trailer for several weeks. He even shot at it.
Took a couple of wild shots at him just to scare him off. But at that point, everybody thought I had flipped my cork. Frank's gone. He's gone, seen everything.
It was his description of a mystical, blood-sucking creature he'd seen online that had people worried.
Something like this will hit an animal, knock it down, grab into it, and suck the blood out of it. That's where their name chupacabra comes from. It's Spanish for goat sucker.
Then a few nights ago, he was outside when he says it came right at him.
Scared hell out of me. It crouched and faced me, and I shot two warning shots at it, .357 Magnum from, 20 feet.
The fearsome-looking creature was unfazed, and Frank shot several more times.
He looked down at where he'd been shot and let out a cry that sounded like maybe a 6-year-old girl. Ah!
Frank's convinced the creature is the stuff of legend.
And then the lips are very long and wide, where you can see that they could be used as like a plunger for sucking blood.
I think it's a bear.
Fish and Game Warden Patrick Foy has a bit different take.
Probably a juvenile bear, and has developed some type of an ailment that has caused its skin to shed all of its fur.
The lack of fur is what makes it so fearsome, but a juvenile bear must have had a tough time surviving this harsh winter, and that may explain his boldness.
It was pretty clearly suffering and in a very desperate state.
Easy to see why Frank thought he might have a new species on his hands.
There are skeptics and there are people that are open-minded.
Somebody with an untrained eye would look at this and think that was a pretty creepy-looking character.
Untrained eye or not, Frank is unconvinced.
Think away. We're looking at it, we're touching it, it's here, it's real.
Now, later in the evening, a game warden did come by and pick up the animal and confirm that it is, in fact, a juvenile bear. It may take several days to find out exactly what caused its hair to fall out. Frank, meantime, says he's just glad that whatever it was, it didn't harm him or his German Shepherd. And he's still not completely convinced that it's not a creature of legend. Dale and Christine.
Well, especially when you look at the arms and the little bit of fur there and the claws. It does look like special effects from a werewolf movie.
We got out there and took a look at that thing, and I thought, man, that's better than Hollywood. That's really scary looking.
I took a guess it was a hairless bear just because I had seen something on the internet. It was another bear that's kept in a zoo that lost all its hair, and it looked very similar. So I thought, okay.
You ever seen a cat with no hair?
Yeah, they're very odd looking.
Yeah. And then to add to it, Frank's scream, which is still reverberating in the studio, and that kind of add a level of fright
What a
to
great
the whole
scream,
story, too.
Frank.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Who's up next? Delaware. This story is a good example of how a small hoax can grow into a legend.
Hi there. I'm going to talk today about the Selbyville Swamp Monster, which was a famous local paranormal story here on Route 54 between Del Mar and the beach. In 1964, there was a fellow named Fred Stevens. He was convinced by a local editor to put on his aunt's raccoon coat and a fright wig and stand out here and scare people to sell more newspapers. What he didn't know was that it started an urban legend that persists to this day about a monster here in the swamp. But people have seen more than just this monster. They've seen girl in white who carries her head in her hands. They've seen phantom cars. The Indians have legend about strange creatures here in this really desolate, godforsaken part of the state. So, to tell you the truth, not all these people can be crazy. Maybe there's something out here that Fred may have been imitating. We just don't know.
Do you guys like spin-offs? Arizona. We have another video about Bigfoot with a localized name.
Well, what's Halloween without a good ghost story?
Gotta
or
have one.
In this case, a good monster story, as in the Mogollon Monster, Arizona's very own Bigfoot.
Yeah, the Mogollon Rim is a steep cliff, basically, that runs for about 200 miles from northern Arizona eastward, nearing the border with New Mexico. It's a rugged wilderness that many creatures call home. And as Linda Williams reports tonight, one man says the Mogollon Monster is among them.
There's all kinds of wildlife on the Mogollon Rim. As we watched, this young elk strolled calmly down a road near Woods Canyon Lake, with its mother nearby. But according to some, there is wildlife in these woods not so keen to be caught on camera.
They range from about this tall to about 8 feet.
Mitchell Waite is the chief monster chaser for MogollonMonster.com.
Well, I think they're the same species, but probably different races.
The Mogollon Monster is Arizona's Bigfoot. And according to Waite, the Mogollon Monster got his name in 1947 when a big, hairy beast raided a Boy Scout camp near Tonto Creek.
Because it happened on the Mogollon Rim, the Boy Scouts called it the Mogollon Monster. And that's kind of what stuck, you know.
Waite, whose family settled northern Arizona, first heard about the monster around the campfire.
You know, they were all about the hairy man or the wild man or something like that. And of course, I didn't believe them. We took all these campfire stories and we published them into a book called The Mogollon Monster, Arizona's Bigfoot. And they were just that, campfire stories. No proof, you know, just stories.
But stories slowly turned into reality after Waite started receiving reports of Bigfoot sightings and started to investigate for himself. His first sighting was 7 years ago while driving up on the rim.
I just happened to be catch something out of my corner of my eye, and I turned and looked, and this thing stood up out of a small cave. And my first thought was, it looked like Cousin It on the Addams Family, you know. But by the time I got it backed up, it had already covered probably 30 yards and disappeared into the bushes.
Waite showed us photos of the Mogollon Monster he and his team have captured.
Cal, look at
And
that.
this video from inside a cave made of sticks and pine needles.
Look at
This, says Waite, is a small baby Bigfoot trying to hide in the corner from his night vision camera. Waite has mapped Mogollon Monster sightings from across the state. There are many, but most are up on the rim, and he's had his own sightings.
Probably well over a dozen times now. Yeah. Basically, we try to tweak their interest to come to us.
It seems Bigfoot has a big sweet tooth.
Cookies or baked goods, anything sweet. They really like sweets.
Footprint castings represent the traditional Bigfoot proof of life. Waite has plenty of those too, along with plenty of doubters.
But of course, there's lots of skeptics that just won't accept it.
But also plenty of believers who have a new way to track down an old legend, the Mogollon Monster.
Now with modern social media and so forth, it's becoming more and more acceptable for people to share what they've seen and what they've heard, and even videos or photos. Now believe me, there's a lot of hoaxers out there, you know, but there are a few reputable people that are searching for the truth.
And And that is why I don't camp. Right there.
Boy, that is a moment of honesty.
There
I
will
love
not
that.
be any camping. I
No.
won't be in a tent in northern Arizona. I'll
The
stay in a
Mogollon
hotel.
Monster is, that's
You
a
never
deterrent.
know.
Yeah.
If you would like to take a look at more photos of the Mogollon Monster, just go to fox10phoenix.com. We've got a link there. We also have more from Mitchell Waite on how to search for the Mogollon Monster. It's on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Fox10Phoenix. Waite would not give us the exact locations of his sightings of the monster, fearing to inform those who would only want to hunt or kill Bigfoot.
Double or nothing. Mississippi. Looks like we are indeed doubling up on Bigfoot sightings.
Walt Grayson is here to head us into the weekend with another story about us as he focuses on Mississippi. And Walt, I guess I'm hoping this is just a legend and not really real.
Oh, that makes two of us. But people have been talking about the Chattawa monster for as long as anybody can remember. Well, here's what I know about it. Now, playing heavily into the legend is the old Illinois Central Railroad and the proximity it has to the Tangipahoa River and swamps. There's Kramer's Lodge, which used to have an animal sanctuary, and curiously playing prominently into the legend is the old St. Mary School, a religious retreat near Osaka in South Mississippi today. But several decades ago, a prominent private school, very popular with New Orleans families who wanted to get their children a good education, but not be too far away. Just far enough. Now, as far as the monster, he's supposed to be a Bigfoot-type creature that makes noises and is glimpsed at the edge of the woods and wandering through the swamps around Chattawa. My source for much of my material about the monster is Sam McKinney, a lifelong resident of the area. He says the monster is supposed to be a big ape that escaped from a mythical circus train wreck near the Tangipahoa swamps. But people have seen something in the woods near Chattawa. So Sam says a possibility is Kramer Lodge that's supposed to have had monkeys in its animal sanctuary. Even the nuns who taught at St. Mary claim to have seen monkeys in the woods. Which brings us to St. Mary. Now, back during the time it was a school, it seems most of the claims of someone to have actually seen the big, hairy Chattawa monster were made by upperclassmen to freshmen upon their arrival, warning them not to wander too near the woods or the river, and for goodness sakes, don't try to run away back home to New Orleans or they'd never be heard of again. And then there'd be a bunch of names of examples of kids who disappeared in just that way. Of course, nobody ever really knew any of them personally. But one thing that is real at Chattawa is an artesian well that's been fixed up, so you can get a drink of water if you'd like. But be careful. Don't you imagine this is where the Chattawa monster gets his water, too? It's easy to find. It's right across the tracks from the Chattawa post office, where the monster, no doubt, gets his mail. Could be. You don't know. Yeah, I tell you what, there are legends, really, of circus trains wrecking, not only at Chattawa, but everywhere that the tracks pass through or near a swamp, all the way from Chattawa to Cairo, Illinois, including a very famous derailment at Canton. That never happened. So,
oh my.
Anyway, so there's your monster.
Who we got this time? Kansas. Let's take a break from Bigfoot and watch this story about a known animal being in an unusual place. Let's get something truly spin-interesting. New Mexico. Here we go. This video goes into the skinwalker legend, but also the story they are reporting on feels like a fake. You'll see what I mean, but let me know if you think it's legit or not.
Is a strange alien-looking creature prowling in northern New Mexico? A Facebook picture circulating yesterday sure has a lot of people up there worried. The post was shared thousands of times in just hours and had a lot of people uttering the word skinwalker, a well-known legend in Indian country.
It's downright creepy, a picture of an unexplained being lurking on the side of a road. The person who posted it claimed it was taken near Liebrook and Counselor, which is near the Jicarilla Reservation. The story claims that a geologist was working in an oil field in the area, saw something odd, and decided to take a heat signature of it. This is it. The next day, the geologist suddenly quit. The story spread like wildfire, people saying, seriously freaking out. Yikes, I'm driving through there tomorrow. That picture scares the bleep out of me. And skinwalker, referring to the Native American legend.
And either he left this bloody drawing or the perp did. It's not an end you'd expect for a holy man.
Which was brought to life by New Mexico author Tony Hillerman. According to legend, a skinwalker is a person with the supernatural ability to turn into any animal and walks on all fours. There are stories of countless encounters in New Mexico, but few will speak of them. Too scared, they'll be targeted. And adding to the mystery and fear of this creature, many people who posted and shared the picture yesterday found their posts and comments suddenly disappear. People who emailed it to others, unable to retrieve it. That prompted posts like, creepy, it's the government, and shh, they're listening. But you can all rest easy. It didn't take long for the picture and the story to be debunked. It apparently comes from a 1980s science fiction movie, Extro. A creepy being is born, then goes on the prowl, and is then spotted by a couple driving along the road. It's unclear how the story was connected to Liebrook or Counselor or that so-called geologist. Perhaps it was just someone having a little fun. But it sure shows the power of social media and legend.
Now, the New Mexican who posted the image yesterday on Facebook has since taken it down, saying she shared it because others had. She says she has no information about its origin.
Who's next? Georgia. This one is really strange looking. It involves an unknown washed up animal, and from looking at it, I can't tell what kind of animal it is, or was.
A mystery creature washes up on a South Georgia beach and it has everyone scratching their heads. Is it a shark? Is it some kind of sea monster? Juliet Dreyer joins us now live. And Juliet, I was in the water today, so I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah, Jeff, a lot of people are talking about this, a lot of people. So just imagine you're out on a boat ride when you see what you think is a dead seal. So you get closer, only to realize that's not what it is at all. Take a look at your screen right now. This is what a man named Jeff Warren says he found on Wolf Island on Friday. That's just north of St. Simon's Island. He says he was boating with his son when they came across this mystery creature. It was about 4 to 5 feet long, and he says birds had already started to peck at the carcass. So the question now, what is it? Is it a fish, a shark, or maybe even a St. Patrick's Day hoax? Well, I have reached out to a lot of marine experts to ask about what this creature is, but so far, nothing definitive. Now, Florida Fish and Wildlife tells me they do have people looking into it right now, and we'll have an update tonight at 11. Reporting live, Juliet Dreyer, First Coast News, on your side.
What did you think of some of these stories? Do you believe there is truth to their claims, or are people simply misidentifying animals that are already known? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have any pictures, videos, or stories of unexplained phenomena, unknown animals, or strange encounters, feel free to email them to me at thesagecrypt@gmail.com. I'd love to make a full video based off your entries. This was part 6 of a series. If you didn't see your state, make sure to check the playlist, or if it hasn't come up yet, stay tuned as we have one more video left to cover the ones who remain. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification for future videos so you don't miss it. Until next time, leave no trace.